Pirate King Luffy and his companions unlocked the secret of Rafdru, ending the rule of the Tianlong people as liberation warriors. The world government was overthrown by the revolutionary army, civilians were no longer oppressed, and slaves became a thing of the past. Banquets are often held in the world, filled with laughter and joy. However, one day, Rafdru emitted a towering beam of light from somewhere, and wherever it passed, everything burned to ashes. 90% of the creatures disappeared, and later generations referred to this disaster as the Lashima Cataclysm.Dofran Mingo, who was imprisoned in the underwater prison, was simultaneously controlling 10 sewing machines when a strong light suddenly fell, dyeing his glasses sea blue. Mingo realized that his life would end at this moment, and he was unwilling to accept it. He looked at the sewing machines that were still working, and smiled with relief. Seeing the sunshine again, 800 years later, Mingge smiled slightly. In this life, he will land on La Island and engrave the name of the pirate emperor on his identity as Tang Mingge. This book has a fan background, and the character stories are all original and fictional. Any similarities are purely coincidental. Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 1. Travel. My name is Tang Mingge. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Where is this? The eyelids seemed to be coated with adhesive, and the boy struggled to open them and saw his body with scars. The pain instantly made people wake up. I said, Your Highness, as long as you are obedient and obedient as before, how could you suffer this pain? A voice came. The boy looked up and saw 3 little thugs surrounding him. He couldn't help but caress the bruises on his arm. The pain was so real, and a memory flooded into his mind. Ha ha ha, I didn't expect such a thing to happen, the boy laughed to himself. Boss, his brain has been smashed. How did he get laughed at? The thugs didn't know why, but they heard the boy ask in reverse, My name is Tang Mingge. No, my name is Duo Fangming. The thug frowned, thinking that His Highness the Prince had been beaten to foolishness. Your Highness the Prince, as long as you give us the seeds of the fruit of Dofran, you can get rid of the nickname Dofran. Ha ha ha, originally my name is not Duo Flamenco. The boy struggled to stand up, with blonde hair and a thin physique, taller than the thugs by half a head. The thugs suddenly felt a sense of oppression and couldn't help but move forward to control him. Unexpectedly, the boy took a step faster and jumped up, fiercely throwing the thug boss to the ground. He kept waving his fists and repeating, What I hate the most is that you commoners bully people too much. The thug was scared and quickly pulled the boy away, but their leader fainted. The boy took advantage of the distraction between the two and quickly slipped away. He came to the riverbank, cleaned his wounds, and looked at his young reflection, lost in thought. Am I reborn? Why am I so different from my previous life? Same appearance, different attire, different experiences. The boy's past life, named Don Quixote da Flamenco, once held the noble status of the heavenly dragon man and served as the 7 martial Cs of the king to intimidate the 4 directions. He was a terrifying pirate, the heavenly Yiksha. In his past life, he grew up in an environment that was extremely enjoyable for the Tianlong people. Later, his father gave up his noble status as a Tianlong person and sent him from heaven to hell. Their family was chased everywhere, enduring the hatred and retaliatory blow of the world towards the Tianlong people. What he couldn't bear the most was that those foolish people dared to bully him. His tragic childhood experiences gave rise to evil in his heart. He resorted to all means to achieve his goals, believing that he did not need to pay attention to the truth of things, and could only use his strength to persuade those who did not comply with him. He became the 7 martial Cs under the king and lived a carefree life of bullying others. But with the abolition of the system of 7 martial Cs, he was just a wanted and bounty pirate. He manipulates Dressrosa, lurking a huge dark trading market. But he was defeated by the pirate alliance of Wang Lufei and Luo, and he was imprisoned. Every day, stepping on the sewing machine was also an unbearable life for him. One day, a strong beam of light fell onto the underwater prison, and Flamenco didn't know what was happening outside, only smelling the smell of death. Upon waking up again, I had transformed into this frail 16-year-old boy. "Hello, Brother Ming." The sound of a call coming from not far away, Mingge turned his head and looked at the girl with the same blonde hair, 3 times similar to him. He knows that this is his sister. "I have reminded you many times not to associate with those thugs, and also not to leave the guards alone when going out. Although you are a commoner, your status is also very prestigious." The blonde girl complained. "There are also 6 guards following behind her. This is the escort army that his father personally selected for him at his 16-year-old coming-of-age ceremony yesterday." Mingge murmured to himself, "Everything seems different." "Hello, Brother Ming, are you listening to me when I'm talking? Wow, I know what happened when you look like this. His Highness, the Prince, got into a fight with a thug and got angry. It's embarrassing to hear about it. How dare you? Ignoring me." The blonde girl crouched and scolded, while the guards behind her dared not speak. "Even though they are both illegitimate, in terms of identity, I am the only princess of the Tang family and also your only sister. Should you respect me?" Mingge grinned, unsure if it was to conceal his embarrassment or to look down upon him. "Got it, esteemed Princess Buma. No, you don't know. If you're interested in our Tang family, you should know why those thugs are looking for you." Mingge stopped smiling, and faced the angry Royal Highness Princess. He asked seriously. "Since I know that I don't care about the family property, why does my father still want to give me the property of Dofran?" His Royal Highness Princess looked at his brother's stupidity and lost most of his anger. She walked to the riverbank and looked at the reflection in the river, explaining, "Our Tang family is currently facing internal and external troubles. Before the age of 16, you were prohibited from participating in family affairs, but after the age of 16, you were immediately placed in charge of the 4 major industries of the family, the Dofran industry. This is not simple." Mingge became interested. After all, in his past life, he was very interested in offshore industry and market transactions. The policy was proposed by the Prime Minister and unanimously approved by the officials. Mingge was puzzled and said, "What's the matter with our Tang family's industry? Although the industry belongs to our Tang family, it concerns the interests of many people. This island is called Don Quixote, which is our Tang family's territory. However, to maintain so many people on the island and expand overseas markets, we need to rely on their strength. Therefore, the policies proposed by the officials sometimes have to be compromised by our Tang family." Mingge sneered, "Can they take away the industry if it's given to us? This is a gamble. Officials are demanding that we decentralize the industry. We only have 2 years to develop, and if you stagnate the industry at the age of 18, it will be managed by the electors." Mingge understood that this was a blatant robbery by officials in the hands of the royal family. "It seems that he will have a difficult time in the next 2 years. So your industry has been preserved." The blonde girl was very satisfied when she heard this sentence. She nodded proudly and smiled. "Of course, I'm the smartest Royal Highness Princess in the Tang family, and I can't be hurt by the shipbuilding industry. Tang Buma, at the age of 18, is young and promising." This is Mingge's first impression of his physically fit sister. The 4 major industries of the Tang family, 3 of which have been firmly controlled by his older brother and sister. This also means that Mingge will bear enormous pressure. Mingge felt that it was unnecessary to erase the thoughts of officials who wanted to usurp the Tang family's industry, and even had no concern for the industry itself. However, he could not tolerate being looked down upon. Because he learned that Dofrango also has a name on this land called useless fruit. The thugs gave him the nickname Doflamingo, mocking him for being useless. Mingge revealed his iconic smile and said, "Interesting, but unfortunately, my name is Tang Mingge in this life. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 2. Rewards, I have dual systems. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Mingge refused Buma's advice because he didn't like others to criticize him. He had his own logic and style. Mingge was eager to learn about history and brought 6 guards to Don Quixote's library. The books here are left untouched for years, accumulating thick dust. Find me all the history about Rafdru. The guards did not know why His Royal Highness suddenly became interested in history and only searched the entire library as instructed. Are they all here? After 3 full days of searching, there are very few records about Rafdru, with only a few books mentioning him, and most of them have been briefly mentioned. In the first year of the Munchi calendar, the pirate King Luffy and his companions landed in Rafdru, took control of the great secret treasure, and crowned the pirate king. People call this day the first year of the Munchi calendar. In the 20th year of the Munchi calendar, Rafdru emitted a towering beam of light that burned out wherever it passed. The great cataclysm of Rakashima changed the terrain of the entire world, and 90% of the creatures disappeared. Those who survived discovered that the Red Earth continent had been cut into 7 continents, with Rafdru located in the center. After 21 years of the Munchi calendar, the destructive beam of light that lasted for a whole year finally came to an end. A small sun appeared directly above Rafdru, shining brightly but not dazzling, and there was no night on La Island thereafter. In the 22nd year of the Munchi calendar, there were rumors that the pirate King Luffy had fallen, and all his wealth was buried in Rafdru. Countless people went out to sea to land on La Island, but no one could get close. In the 23rd year of the Munchi calendar, the leader of the revolutionary army in the head of the world government, Munchi Emperor, and Dragon, designated Rafdru as a forbidden area and dispatched a navy to guard the surrounding small islands. In just a few short pieces of information, Mingge was greatly shocked. Although others were in prison in their past lives, they also knew a lot about the outside world. He knew that the revolutionary army had overthrown the world government, the pirate King Luffy had liberated the world, and the dragon became the Munchi Emperor. The Munchi calendar has also been used to this day. But he didn't know what happened to Rafdru. He never landed, nor did he know that the skyrocketing beam had caused 90% of the creatures to disappear, including himself. Is it because the sun never sets on La Island that the great sun god Nika incarnates to save the world? Mingge thought a lot, but the more he thought about it, the more he felt outrageous. In a faint sense, driven by curiosity, he even had the idea of landing at Laftansk. In the 400th year of the Munchi calendar, the 4 emperors of the new era joined forces to explore La Island, but they never returned. The world was in chaos due to the lack of the 4 emperors' deterrence. In the 800 years of the Munchi calendar, the radiance of La Island has dimmed a lot. Some speculate that in 10 years, someone will be able to successfully land in Rafdru. It is now 816 years in the Munchi calendar, and no one has been able to land on La Island to this day. Mingge smiled with relief. Perhaps this is his opportunity. Do I also have the opportunity to land on La Island and unlock the secrets of the great secret treasure in this lifetime? Ding! Unlock successfully, receive a reward, unlock keyword. Rafdru's secret treasure. What is this? Mechanical sounds come from the mind. Please enter deep sleep and start the system within 10 minutes for the host. Ding! The emotionless mechanical voice issued instructions, which confused Mingge. Although he disliked being commanded, he still followed suit. You guys stay guard outside the door, no one is allowed to come in. Mingge asked the guards to leave, while he made do with finding a wooden chair and quickly fell asleep after sitting down. Ding! Deep sleep detected, system startup. Please host select the system. May I ask if the host has chosen dual systems? In his sleep, Mingge entered a confined space with 3 options in front of him. The first option. Domineering system. Second option. Bragg system. Third option. Dual system. Mingge subconsciously wants to be domineering, which is a field he is familiar with. What does dual system mean? Ding, upon detecting confusion, the system replied. The dual system can have both a domineering system and a domineering system. The advantage is that the speed of cultivating domineering energy is different from that of ordinary people. The disadvantage is that the dual system cannot switch freely and requires conditional switching. May I ask if the host has chosen dual systems? Mingge only had a moment of thought before pressing on the option of the dual system. He thought of his weak body and urgently needed to increase the speed of cultivating dominance. The dual system was the best choice to meet his needs. Ding, host selected dual systems, matching systems, restarting systems. Ding, system matching successful, system restart successful, please host to debug the system. Mingge found that his space had gathered and could only accommodate one person. This space is a dual system space. The button on his left side can enter the domineering system, while the button on his right side can enter the domineering system. Please host the debugging system. During the debugging period, there will be an unconditional switch of system permission. Mingge pressed the button on the left side and entered the domineering system. The scene before him made him furious. This is actually a small textile workshop. There are a total of 10 sewing machines in front of me. 9 of them have been banned, and Mingge cannot touch them. Looking at the shiny sewing machine, Mingge felt that it was a trick of fate. His impressive ability to thread fruits had fallen to the point of stepping on the sewing machine. How to debug? Ding, upon detecting confusion, the system replied. Step on the sewing machine with your feet and blend your dominance into it to gain the ability to produce threads and fruits. Mingge remembered prison life, which was also such a humiliation. This damn system isn't playing tricks on me, is it? Ding, detected confusion, the system replied. It's not a prank, it's a reasonable prank. What? Mingge cursed loudly, but to his surprise, he was tied up by an invisible string and hung in mid-air. Ding, detected host dissatisfaction, must be corrected. Mingge suffered injustice and thought of enduring it before passing. When he regained his dominance, he must find a way to modify this damn system. So he followed the instructions and stepped on the sewing machine, working hard. Ding, unable to detect dominance, waste. Mingge couldn't bear being looked down upon and shouted, switch systems. So I returned to the dual system space and pressed the button on the right. The beige system is a wasteland, but in Minge's eyes, it is much better than a textile workshop. How to debug? Ding, upon detecting confusion, the system replied. The Ba-Go system is a mode system where the body absorbs others' domineering energy. After absorbing domineering energy, it plants seeds in the wilderness and grows into domineering fruits. Anyone who eats it can cultivate domineering energy. Minge was overjoyed upon hearing this and said, how can we absorb the dominance of others? Ding, upon detecting confusion, the system replied. In this mode, using your body to touch others' domineering energy can automatically absorb it. What? Although, Minge understood that he was going to get beaten up. Is physical contact with others being domineering a reward? This is masochism. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 3. Shut up, my name is not Domingo. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The system debugging is completed, and Minge roughly knows the operating mode. The noise outside the door startled him out of his sleep. Outside the library. The two sides are facing off. One of them is Minge's 6 guards. On the other hand, there are a large number of people, but in terms of clothing and appearance, they are all well-known thugs in the local area. Hurry up and invite your highness the prince out. That's right, that's right. The prince commits the same crime as the commoners. If someone is injured, they should take responsibility. Minge walked slowly out of the library and understood the purpose of those thugs when he saw them. Oh, isn't this His Highness the Prince? Finally, he has come out. You injured our partner, shouldn't you do some compensation as a gesture of goodwill? Minge smiled and said, what compensation do you want? A tall and sturdy man walked out of the mixed crowd, even Minge was half a head short. The strong man said, Your Highness, we won't talk anymore. You can take out 3 Doraemon seeds to compensate us, and the matter of your injury to my cousin will be written off. 3. Ming raised his eyebrows. That's right, 3. Minge chuckled and said, I thought you guys would speak up like lions. I know you have 10 seeds in your hand, it's not too much to have 3. Minge restrained his smile and raised his eyebrows, asking, what if I don't give it? The thug next to the strong man immediately provoked, no. Our boss will definitely take care of you. He is a powerful awakener, and you can't even escape. As soon as these words were spoken, the 6 guards also felt pressure. Because they are not domineering individuals. Since the Lashima Cataclysm, the demon fruits recorded in history have also disappeared. To become a capable person, one must cultivate dominance. Dominance is mainly divided into 6 types. Armed color dominance. Can enhance defense and attack power, mainly through exercising physical abilities. Seeing, hearing, and looking domineering. Can enhance mental and perceptual abilities, mainly through exercising perceptual abilities. Overlord color and domineering aura. Capable of exerting pressure from superiors over subordinates, which cannot be generated by the day after tomorrow. However, the owner can cultivate by increasing the aura of the king. After the Great Cataclysm, 3 new forms of dominance were added. Superman color domineering. After the disappearance of the Superman fruit, the cells of the offspring of the capable have hidden genes of Superman color domineering, and the awakened person's body possesses various Superman-like abilities. Natural color dominance. After the disappearance of natural fruits, the cells of the offspring of the capable have hidden genes of natural color dominance, and the body of the awakened has various elemental abilities. Animal color domineering. After the disappearance of animal fruits, the cells of offspring of capable individuals contain genes for animal color domineering, and the body of awakened individuals possesses various abilities in animal forms. Minge was a bit surprised to hear that the other party had domineering aura, but more curious. Let's give this bully system a try. Now is a good opportunity, Ming thought to himself. So he took a few steps forward, showing his iconic smile and said, since that's the case, how about we place the bet? The strong man asked, what are you gambling on? I want to see the legendary aura. You attack me with your aura 10 times. If I can still stand up after 10 times, this matter will be written off. What if you can't stand up? Give you all 10 seeds. Okay. The strong man shouted, looking very happy. The 6 guards looked at each other, hesitating to speak. Good system, I hope your calculations are accurate, otherwise I will lose face and face a lot. According to the calculation of the bully system, Minge's body can only absorb up to 10 powerful attacks from a strong man at a time. I don't know if it's because this body is too weak, or if the strong man's domineering cultivation is not at home. Starting now. Minge couldn't wait to verify. Wait a minute. A thin and weak scholar walked out beside the strong man, holding a just-drafted gambling agreement in his hand. Domingo, there's no evidence behind empty promises. It's better to make the bet clear in black and white before starting. Minge pretended to be furious and said, stop talking, I'm not called Dofran Minge. The scholar immediately smiled and said, sorry, Your Highness, for my slip of the tongue. Just take a look at the gambling agreement and sign here. Minge remained expressionless. In his past life, he would never have allowed anyone to point fingers at him. However, at this moment, in order to verify the badge system, he did not want to miss the opportunity and signed. Seeing this, the thugs in the crowd were applauding and celebrating, as if this victory was guaranteed. Can we start now? Mingge asked again. The strong man was about to nod when the scholar interjected, wait a minute, after all, the Dofran industry is a royal industry, and I'm afraid the prince's words won't make it up to me. We should invite various families as witnesses. Mingge hugged his chest with both hands, indicating that he had lost patience with the scholar. I said, you must be arrogant in your business. How could a person like you get involved with thugs? Isn't this a conspiracy against me? The scholar was not angry and said, how could that be? This bet was proposed by Your Highness the Prince, and we are just looking for witnesses. It won't take much time. Mingge smiled and didn't speak anymore, only looking at the back of the scholar leaving. The two sides were still waiting for the bet. I think that scholar must have been sent by an official from a certain family. Mingge didn't take it seriously. He just wanted to test the dominance of a strong man and see if it could really be used by him. In less than half an hour, many people gathered here. There were various family officials and people who watched the excitement. The chief butler of the King of Tang and His Royal Highness Princess also arrived. Confused, how can family businesses play around? I'll explain to you, brother. The stakes are clearly unequal, we can do without fighting. Faced with the criticism from the butler and sister, Mingge remained unmoved. Those officials waited to see the joke and found excellent positions to watch the battle. With so many witnesses now, can we start now? The strong man didn't seem to like being surrounded either. He said, let's fight quickly and make a quick decision. Don't blame me for being ruthless, brother Dofran. Shut up, my name is not Domingo. Laughing around and mocking His Highness the Prince is also a great pleasure. I saw the strong man's fists harden and instantly turn black. Armed color. Mingge recognized it at a glance. But the strong man's armed colors could only cover one fist, and Mingge breathed a sigh of relief. It seems that the calculation of the Ba-Gus system is correct. Mingge muttered as he faced the imposing fist, which instantly knocked him down. Tianlong, it hurts so much. The pain that Mingge could feel was not only the pain of being punched, but also the repulsive feeling of being absorbed into his body, almost piercing through his abdomen. Come again. Mingge got up. Once. Twice. 3 times. The crowd gradually changed their expressions from cheering and cheering, because after the 9th time, Mingge still got up. If they hold on one more time, their calculations will fall through. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 4. Pillar Industry, Dofran Wine. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. The strong man felt strange and became panting. Is it excessive use of dominance? He feels that his dominance is losing quickly, but he doesn't know why. Did you release water? Give me your all. A domineering person cannot defeat a weak ordinary person. Do you want to be nailed to the pillar of shame? There were doubts among the witnesses, who only hoped that Mingge would lose the gambling contract, so they demanded that the strong man work hard. Mingge was so painful that he couldn't speak, but he waved provocatively as if urging the strong man to do his best. The housekeeper around was thoughtful, and Royal Highness Princess was full of worry. The last blow. If you can still stand up, we will never trouble you again. The strong man's fist turned black again and charged straight towards Mingge. Mingge, cross your hands to block. Jokes make people hit in the stomach, but he doesn't want to suffer. My arms shook and my bones seemed to be breaking. Mingge couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. He himself was also repelled by more than 10 steps. This final blow, although Mingge vomited blood, he stood still. This kind of pride reminded him of the previous life of Domingo, and a kind of domineering aura quietly emerged in his body. We won. We won. Princess Buma ran forward happily and helped Mingge. You did it. You defended our family property, you're a good person. The butler put away the gambling agreement and dispersed the crowd. The crowd parted ways in displeasure. Mingge just breathed a sigh of relief at this moment, feeling weak all over his body. He didn't hear what Princess Buma said clearly, so he fainted. Ding, detected dominance, please plant edible fruits. The system prompt kept repeating, but Mingge was too weak to pay attention. I only had this feeling of weakness in my past life when Dressrosa was defeated by Wang Lufei. Through a 10-fist bet, he successfully verified the authenticity of the bully system. Despite his weakness, he could still feel the presence of dominance in his body. Long time no see, armed and domineering. After resting for a whole day and night, the first thing Mingge did when he woke up was to swallow a Dofran seed. According to the system prompt, the seeds he eats will enter the wasteland, grow into big trees, and bear many fruits, which contain directly absorbable dominance. This wasteland is indeed extraordinary. Just as the seeds were planted, they grew into towering trees. After waiting for a long time, Mingge did not see any fruit produced. Ding, system prompt. Insufficient dominance, unable to generate fruit. Mingge sighed helplessly, unsure whether it was the strong man who was too weak or himself who was too weak. Although this system has many drawbacks, my recovery ability has become much stronger. Mingge checked his own body, and with such a thin and weak body in the past, he probably wouldn't be able to get out of bed for 10.5 days. Now, he is thriving day and night, and he is truly a formidable figure. Upon learning that Mingge was sober, the family criticism meeting followed. Mingge, the family business is not just a child's play, it concerns the interests of thousands of Tang family members and the development of the entire Don Quixote. Mingge, this matter is indeed something you didn't consider carefully. The two older brothers spoke frankly. Once everyone has come through, don't worry anymore. Let's not do it again. Princess Buma chimed in. The middle-aged man on the throne has blonde hair, but he is not very similar to his father in his previous life. He said earnestly, Brother Ming, do you know the importance of seeds? Mingge thought for a moment and nodded. He naturally knew that the seed of Dofran was much more precious than the fruit, because the seed did not come from the fruit, but from the trunk itself. The Tang family originally had 10 seeds, which grew into 10 big trees that could bear countless fruits. Every 20 years, the production of large trees enters a period of weakness and transforms back into seeds. The seed needs 3 months of rest, which is called the seed period. Mingge took over the Dofran industry, coinciding with the seed period. Tang Wang continued to ask, do you know how much profit these 10 seeds can bring us every 20 years? Mingge continued to nod. Dofran fruit itself has little value, so it is called useless fruit. But the ancestors of the Tang family discovered that the juice of Dofran could be fermented into a magical liquid. This liquid is called Dofran. This is a taste-adaptive wine. If you like high alcohol, it is high. If you like low alcohol wine, it can keep you drunk for 1,000 cups. I like sweet wine, it's sweet wine because this type of wine directly affects people's sensory nerves. Different people have different sensations when drinking it, so Dofran wine is also known as Baibian wine or Qianmian wine. Alcohol is precisely the lucrative industry in the sea. The Tang family has gone through 100 years of vicissitudes, and Dofran liquor remains the pillar industry of the family, standing firm. Let's not do it again. This is my father's advice. However, what they didn't know was that 1 seed had already been used, and now there are only 9 left. Mingge doesn't intend to say it, he thinks it's asking for trouble. Your Highness Mingge, may I ask you a question? Have you awakened your dominance? The butler asked and caught everyone's attention. You should know that there are thousands of people in the Tang family, and there are only 100 who have awakened their domineering abilities. The butler is considered the strongest level among them. "Uncle, how can you see it?" asked the king of Tang. The butler, according to seniority, is Mingge's grandfather. Although he is over 60 years old, his eyes are clear and his body is light, which can be attributed to his domineering demeanor. With Mingge's thin and weak body, it's hard to explain why he can resist the dominance of 10 fists. Moreover, in just one day, he has been lively and energetic. Unless he also awakens his dominance, it can be explained. Mingge shook his head and said, "I can indeed feel something unusual in my body, but I haven't awakened my dominance yet." Mingge is telling the truth. He has indeed absorbed the dominance of a strong man, but so far he has not successfully converted it into his own dominance, without any domineering ability. The butler stroked his beard and pondered, without making it difficult for Mingge. In the following month, under Mingge's ups and downs, the domineering members of the Tang family beat Mingge up all over, resulting in many bad news being spread. Do you think His Highness Mingge has become addicted to being beaten up? It's not common to ask others to beat him up. Can he be a masochist? Yeah, beating me up has made me tired, and Mingge is still enthusiastic. After a month of domineering absorption, Mingge finally welcomed his first fruit. Don Quixote is indeed a bit weak, it seems we need to find an opportunity to go out to sea. Mingge was enjoying the harvest while complaining about his lack of dominance, feeling both pain and happiness. At the moment, he misses Wang Lufei's great ape king gun in his previous life. Just one blow can bring him a defengshu, salad of assorted fresh vegetables. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 5. With a domineering blow, he caused a big disaster. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ding, detected domineering fruit. Do you want to switch the domineering system for absorption? Mingge agreed to switch the system and asked, what were the conditions for the conditional switch mentioned earlier? Ding, system answer. Random condition. Ding, host switching system, random condition. Soak the body in warm water for 1 day and 1 night. What? Mingge thinks the system is very peculiar, which means that he needs to complete random tasks when transitioning from a bully system to a bully system, and the two cannot coexist at the same time. 1 day and 1 night, this time is too long. Mingge instructed the personal guards to book the hot spring pool and develop a powerful system, which is indeed the top priority. The guard hesitated to speak, but Mingge caught his eye. What's going on? Something's up. The guard nodded and replied, Your Highness, you forgot that there will be a grand event tomorrow and the royal family needs to participate. Mingge went his own way and said, the grand ceremony. I really don't remember, did my father ask me to go? The guard broke out in a cold sweat and said, no one is named. The grand ceremony is voluntary, and Don Quixote is not forced. Mingge refused and said, that's fine. It doesn't matter if I'm one less. I'll soak in hot springs from this afternoon to tomorrow. The guard sighed, unsure if it would cause any misunderstanding. The next day. Don Quixote Island is very lively, with a grand celebration, and even a cannon salute is set off. Of course, Mingge, who was soaking in hot springs on the edge of the mountain range, selectively ignored the noise of the celebration. He leaned against the stone wall of the hot spring, with his custom-made wine glass beside him. The wine glass is filled with fruit wine, which is brewed from that domineering fruit. Indeed, hot spring wine is more elegant. Mingge is in a good mood, slowly savoring this versatile wine. Well, the fragrance lingers in the mouth, and the mellow aroma enters the stomach. Sure enough, good wine. At this moment, while soaking in hot springs, the wine exuded an icy texture. Mingge felt his taste buds explode and couldn't help but praise it. In my past and present life, I have only loved Dofran wine. Time passes quickly, and day and night finally pass. Mingge successfully entered the domineering system. In the system space, he stepped on the sewing machine, domineeringly entangled in it, and a white thread slowly emerged from the sewing machine. This familiar line is very similar to the lines of his previous life's line fruit. At this moment, a fruit can only give Mingge a thin line that is 1 meter long. Your Highness, it's not good. Not far away came the urgent cries of the guards. Mingge manipulated the red wine glass with his fingers and slowly lowered it, not paying much attention to the shouts of the guards. Before long, the guard requested, Your Highness, something big has happened and you may be held accountable. The nobles are in a bad mood. Accountability. Nobility. Mingge didn't have a complete memory of flipping through this body, he didn't even know what the celebration was about. Have you really forgotten? Today's celebration is to welcome the powerful members of the imperial family. A family of emperors. Mingge murmured to himself. 800 years ago, the world government was ruled by the Tianlong people, and the D tribe was known as the natural enemies of the gods. They overthrew the rule of the Tianlong people. Today, 800 years later, the Tianlong people have long disappeared without a trace. Only the people of the emperor's clan can be called world nobles. It seems that history will only continue to repeat itself, whether it is the Tianlong people or the imperial clan, they are just ordinary people chasing power. Why, I still need to go and greet them. I don't know them and don't want to be friends with them. Why go and greet them? This. Minge's speech was incomprehensible to the guards. This is a great rebellion. You should know that the imperial family overthrew the rule of the Tianlong people and liberated the entire world. No matter which country they went to, they would receive the highest standard of reception. Mingge had no intention of going there, still soaking in the hot spring and stepping on the sewing machine. Not long after, another guard ran over. Your Highness, it's not good. The nobleman from the world personally came, accompanied by the Prime Minister and many officials, and arrived soon. Ming raised his eyebrows. There must be a conspiracy behind such a stirring up of the masses. He walked out of the hot spring, put on a bathrobe, and lay down on a lounge chair. Your Highness Mingge, are you so impolite? The nobles have arrived, why don't they come to pay their respects? Not seeing the person but hearing their voice. Mingge knows that this is the voice of the Prime Minister. He ignored it. The guards standing on both sides of the recliner were sweating profusely. What Mingge didn't know was that the group stopped at the entrance of the hot spring, wanting Mingge to come out and pay their respects. But it's awkward not to respond for a long time. You go in and see if His Highness the Prince has slipped away. The Prime Minister dispatched his troops to investigate further. As a result, the group was so angry that they blew their beards and stared blankly. The nobleman was obviously really angry. Not only did he not welcome me, but he also stretched comfortably in the lounge chair. This is looking down on me and not considering the emperor's family. Let's go in and see what this hot-tempered prince looks like. The group walked through the hot spring corridor and indeed saw Mingge on the lounge chair. The nobleman could no longer control his anger and said, whoever caught him will receive a heavy reward. Dogs were eager to try, but they saw Mingge get up and walk slowly towards the nobles. I heard you are a member of the emperor's clan. A natural enemy of the gods. The nobleman thought Mingge was going to show weakness and arrogantly said, that's right, you should kneel down and apologize to me now. I can consider forgiving you. Mingge walked within 1 meter of the nobles and grinned. His fingers suddenly emitted a thin white thread, which instantly wrapped around the neck of the nobleman. Everyone was shocked and turned pale. Mingge waved his hand and swung the aristocrat with a thin thread, causing him to fall face down and eat dog poop. Oh my God, I didn't exert any force, he fainted. Mingge said so, but what he thought in his heart was that I was fighting the emperor clan. Overlord, Your Highness. The Prime Minister originally intended to list the charges against Mingge, but upon seeing this scene, his mouth trembled and he said, "You have caused trouble." Mingge didn't take it seriously, and the royal family members arrived one after another. After the celebration, the nobles said they wanted to stroll around with the Prime Minister, but the Tang family had no reason to object. The scout discovered that their goal was actually Mingge, who was soaking in hot springs, and the Tang family hurriedly arrived. When they arrived, they found that the nobles had been knocked down and unconscious. The initiator turned out to be Tang Mingge, who had disappeared for a day. Tang Mingge. You need to give me an explanation. Mingge shrugged his hand, his physical nature in this life is pure and good. He doesn't want to bully others actively, but he can't let others bully him, no matter who it is. The royal family immediately ordered to block the news, but the news spread as quickly as an infectious disease, which made the residents of the island panic and talk. Your Highness Dofran. How could such a thin and weak person defeat a nobleman with a single punch? You didn't see it. With a powerful blow, he caused a big trouble. Your Highness has awakened his dominance. I don't know if the nobles will pursue the entire Tang Island. As far as I know, the nobles are used to being pampered, but their hearts are small. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 6. Sailing Away, the Little Dolphin. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The Tang King dispersed the crowd and strictly prohibited officials from discussing and spreading this matter. And take Mingge away. The Prime Minister was originally worried that Mingge would run away, but on second thought, the fear of guilt and the crime of fleeing would be even more advantageous to him. He even wanted to help Mingge escape. At this time, the officials of the Zhai family were taking good care of the unconscious nobles, waiting for them to wake up and report the situation conveniently. Tang Family Mansion. 2 hours after the nobles were beaten, this place was heavily guarded and non-core members of the Tang family were not allowed to approach. It's not very useful. Tang Wang spoke in a serious tone, obviously genuinely angry. Look at you. After 10 fists of gambling, you have committed another incident of assaulting nobles. You used to not take the initiative to cause trouble, but now what? The heavy tone was filled with helplessness. But beating the nobility is different from those small fights and disturbances. You don't take the emperor's family seriously, which can easily bring trouble to our Tang family. Tang Wang supported his forehead with one hand, obviously he didn't know what to do. Mingge said calmly, I'll go out to sea. Without Don Quixote, they won't be able to find me. Listening to Minge's heartless speech, the two brothers were even more displeased. It's easy for you to leave. If our family is held accountable, it's us who will suffer. This is indeed something you didn't consider carefully. Mingge is speechless. The two older brothers are not close to him because he is a commoner. And Mingge doesn't care if they will be implicated, as his intention to go to sea has been determined at this moment. I am afraid of guilt and have fled. You announced that you will expel me from the Tang family and then send someone to arrest me, so they have no reason to make things difficult for the Tang family. Mingge spread out his hand and said. Tang Buma, however, did not want Mingge to live a wandering life. She said anxiously, there must be another way. We ask the nobles to forgive us, and such a person may not mind. Ha ha ha, I'm talking about Princess Buma. You've always been shrewd and capable, why don't you understand the hearts of that bullshit aristocrat? You place your hopes on him and beg for his forgiveness. Most likely, you'll be exploited to death. When the nobles and prime ministers found me together, I knew that no matter what posture I took, conflicts were bound to arise because they were simply not kind. If I had to do it again, I would only have to deal with it harder. Let him faint for a few days so that I can buy time to escape. Mingge is outspoken, this is his true idea. You. Tang Wang was unable to refute it, as he could also guess that the industry of Dofran wine was being targeted. "Father!" Mingge shouted solemnly. This is the first time in his life that he has shouted in front of the family. "I earnestly request to go out to sea, implore my father to expel me from the Tang family and inform the world that drawing a clear line with me is the best way for the current Tang family." The family remained silent and seemed to agree that this was currently the best solution. The Tang king frowned tightly. After a long silence, Fang spoke earnestly and said, "You leave the Dolphin seed behind, and then go to Buma to choose a boat. Child, you can walk the road ahead on your own." Tang Wang agreed, and Minggu breathed a sigh of relief. He was also worried that the Tang family would tie him to death within the family. "Well, I'm afraid you'll go back on your word. I have to get the boat first, then give you the seeds, pay one hand and exchange the other." Humph. The king of Tang despised this, but did not immediately confiscate the seeds. Tanja Shipyard. This is one of the four pillar industries of the Tang family. Currently, it is controlled by the young Buma. Mingge, life at sea is not as good as you imagine. Our shipyard has seen many ships that are temporarily docked for repair and supply, which are dilapidated. The crew members are mostly pale and malnourished. Stop it, can't you expect me to be better? Since seeing your ability to cause trouble, I have a feeling that your days at sea will not be peaceful. Ha ha ha, to conquer the sea, one must learn the ability to summon wind and rain. At this moment, Ming Ji's domineering aura is not angry but self-imposing. Buma also discovered that this once thin and talkative younger brother had changed. Buma patted the back of brother Fiaming and joked, "Conquering the sea. Are you going to pull the island? Do you also know about La Island?" Mingge asked. "Of course. As shipbuilders, we can easily receive information from the sea, especially in forbidden areas like La Island." She continued, "Rumors have it that those who are close there have all disappeared." "Mingge, you must not disappear." Mingge looked up at the sky and pointed towards the most sunny spot on the sea level. "That's where Rafdru, the sun never sets. Buma, I have my adventure. If one day I can climb onto the Rafdru, you will find that I am not capable of causing trouble, but truly capable. Of course, the prerequisite is that I have a ship that can go out to sea." Buma smiled, thinking that Mingge was joking and didn't take it to heart. "Let me show you the latest shipbuilding technology of our Tang family. This is a sea blue ship, parked on the sea as if invisible. The shape is also different from an ordinary sailboat. The front end of the ship is in the shape of a submarine, while the rear end has a deck. Floating horizontally can hoist sails and set sail with the wind. Diving into the seabed can be driven by both human labor and fuel. Are you saying that it can not only preset its course, but also self-pilot?" Buma nodded proudly. "What about fuel? What fuel is needed? What we usually use now is this type of red stone ore." Buma handed Mingge a red stone. She continued, "Not just redstone mines, there should actually be many types of fuels that support this technology. Essentially, any mineral or coal resource that can burn and generate a large amount of gas can be used." Mingge nodded very satisfied. As a capable person in his past life, he had never boarded a submarine to go deep into the sea. "Great, that's all I need." Mingge immediately boarded the ship and instructed the workers to arrange according to his aesthetic preferences. Sofa, boat, dining table, wine glass, artificial soil, right here. The center of the deck was covered with artificial soil and fenced off with guardrails. Mingge chuckled and planned to plant the Dofran tree here. "Has the route been set up? Has the fuel been filled in?" Before long, everything was ready, and Mingge immediately pressed the automatic departure button. Boom 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 the ship emits start-up noise. Hey Mingge, you haven't returned Duo Franco yet. Bouma on the embankment was a bit anxious, thinking that Mingge had forgotten. Mingge chuckled and took out a seed to throw to Bouma. Just one. Mingge said, just tell my father that Duo Fangguo is being targeted by the nobles and staying in the Tang family will also bring trouble. Why don't you let me take most of it and I'll transfer the firepower for you? What? Mingge continued, leaving one is enough. Rare things are precious. If you raise the price 10 times, the profit will be the same. I'm very satisfied with this ship, let's call it the Little Dufresne. We're going out to sea. Bouma, let's say goodbye and meet again if we have the chance. So, Mingge officially set sail on the Little Dufresne. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 7. Landing, Supply City of Abyss Island. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. A few days later, a submarine surfaced in the South China Sea. The spiral of the submarine came to a stop. Fill up the fuel once and you can only sneak for 3 days. Mingo has been enjoying the scenery in the sea almost all these 3 days. He saw many marine creatures that he had never seen before in his past life, and was still unsatisfied. However, the fuel was not enough to support the submarine's stealth. We must find a way to refuel. The protective cover of the rear half of the submarine is opened, exposing the deck. Mingge raised the sail. At this point, the submarine transformed into a single-masted sailboat, which was fast and did not require much operation. Following the wind direction and ocean flow, you should be able to reach the Abyss Island marked in the preset route. Mingge opened the lounge chair on the deck and lay down comfortably, holding a red wine glass in hand. The red wine in the cup is the good wine that the Tang family, who he specially ordered to transport onto the ship, usually serves to entertain officials. Mingge savors it carefully. TSK, he furrowed his brow slightly. The quality of the wine is not bad, but I always feel like something is missing. Since tasting too much Francois, other wines have faded away. Mingge touched the seed in his pocket, it will take more than a month to fully store energy. Oh, we have to make do with it first. Mingge took out the nautical chart, which he specifically asked Bouma for. There are 2 sets of nautical charts. One is a partial map from Don Quixote Island to nearby islands. Mingge threw it aside. For ships that could set their course, he no longer needed this chart as they were about to reach the next island. The other one is a world chart. This is a painting created by the followers of the 4th emperor who explored Rafdru in the 400th year of the Munch calendar. The 4th emperor never returned, and his followers did not land in Laftansk, but instead drew the only route. On this day in the 816 year of the Munchi calendar, such a chart is no longer a secret. Because the chart only has a rough outline of the world and some important islands. The terrain is completely different from the previous life. Mingge noticed. No wonder we need to move backwards towards Rafdru. In the map, the former Red Earth continent was divided into 7 continents and 4 sea areas. The South China Sea, West China Sea, and East China Sea each have a continent. The North Sea has 4 continents. The northernmost continent of the 4 continents is called Rafdru. The only route leading to Rafdru is to depart from the South China Sea and pass through the South China Sea route, South China Sea continent, West China Sea route, West China Sea continent, East China Sea route, and East China Sea continent before entering the North Sea. After entering the North Sea, one must also pass through 3 complete continents before finally reaching La Island. Surprisingly, the northernmost point of the North Sea is actually very close to the southernmost point of the South China Sea. However, there is a forbidden area between the 2, and anyone who wants to travel from the southernmost tip of the South China Sea to Dala Island will be engulfed by the ocean and disappear. Therefore, starting from the South China Sea, one must turn away from La Island and proceed in an S-shaped course. If Don Quixote Island is located in the North Sea, Minge's voyage will be much shorter. Unfortunately, the island where the Tang family is located is situated to the south of the South China Sea. Mingge put away the world chart and looked up. To his surprise, a deep-sea vortex appeared ahead. Is the route incorrect or unexpected? Minge's ship accelerated towards the vortex with the current. Within 3 breaths, they were swept into a vortex. The dizziness caused by the strong rotation made Mingge uncomfortable. The little Dofran spun along the vortex and kept sinking. Rotate and sink. Mingge had to use his ability to tightly entangle the ship to avoid the danger of being swept away. The whole process lasted for 10 minutes before slowly calming down. As the vortex in the sea descended, Mingge saw the islands within the vortex. Is that the Abyss Island? It lives up to its name. When the ship reached the bottom of the vortex, there was a gentle sea surface connecting the gentle land. The joy.However docked along the shore, and Mingge closed the protective cover and locked the cabin to ensure that others could not steal the ship. Then it officially landed as a supply city on this Abyss Island. First is fuel, second is fine wine. Right, and you also need to find sunglasses. With an unprecedented enthusiasm, Mingge came to the trading market and indeed had wine and sunglasses. Mingge tried a lot of wine, but the quality was not even comparable to his family's hospitality wine, so he gave up the idea of buying wine. He didn't have the red sunglasses he wanted, only a dark blue sunglasses that looked similar to his previous life. That's it. Mingge wearing blue sunglasses looks like a marine creature to everyone. This feels good too, just like enjoying the beautiful scenery in the deep sea. Arriving at the last store in the trading market, Mingge still couldn't find the fuel he wanted. Boss, don't you all sell fuel here? Can a city that doesn't sell fuel still be called a supply city? The boss is a skinny old man with a bit of a back of the ear. What bird? All birds are in the flower and bird market, not in the supply market. Mingge was speechless and took out the red ore that Buma had shown him before. The boss was shocked and took Mingge aside, looking around to see if there were anyone else. I said, little brother, are you harming the old man me? Mingge asked, is it possible that the supply city prohibits the sale of fuel? The boss was speechless, thinking that the blonde guy in front of him must be a newcomer who had just gone out to sea. Little brother, if you want to go abroad, you must first understand some basic knowledge. How to say it? Supply cities do indeed have fuel for sale, but it is all in the hands of the city lord. The little old man replied, to purchase fuel, one must obtain officially recognized qualifications, such as shipyards and other factories that require power. It is difficult for ordinary people to buy fuel. Mingge was puzzled and said, how can we supply those mechanical-powered ships? Do we have to find a shipyard? The boss sneered, don't you know that ordinary people are prohibited from driving powered boats? Why? Ordinary fishermen who want to go out to sea can only ride non-mechanically powered sailboats, which are only allowed on naval vessels. Mingge sneered, in this way, warships can easily capture sailboats. The boss was taken aback for a moment and said, little brother, although I don't know what you need fuel for. I suggest you go to the shipyard or the city lord's place to ask, don't burden me, little old man. The little old man shook his head and walked away, waving his hand to make Mingge leave quickly. Mingge smiled and said, only state officials are allowed to set fires, and people are not allowed to light lamps. It's interesting, I like it. Regardless of his past or present life, Mingge has no favorable impression of the Navy. For the overbearing and unreasonable Navy, Mingge will not have any psychological burden and will do things without any hesitation. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 8. Bounty, 3 million pirates. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Mingge didn't go to the shipyard because there must be no extra fuel there. He walked towards the Lord's mansion in the Abyss City. Extra. Extra. Mingo wore sunglasses and bought the latest newspaper. The young man selling newspapers glanced at Mingge a few more times and passed by in confusion. This is a newspaper in the South China Sea, and almost all the content published is about events in the South China Sea. And today's newspaper headline, the protagonist is actually Mingge. Mingge is speechless. He even has some understanding of the hatred of the common people towards the Tianlong people in their past lives. Just like my own dissatisfaction with the imperial clan now. Isn't it just a punch? A storm in a teacup inspire the masses. The newspaper is published in this way. Bounty. Do Flamenco. 30 million munch coins. There is also an introduction about Mingge below. Duo-Fran Minge, born on Don Quixote Island in the South China Sea, stole the seeds of Duo-Fran from the Tang royal family, was expelled from the Tang family and reported to the navy for wanted. He assaulted a powerful member of the imperial family, causing serious injuries and awakening his dominance. He has now gone into exile at sea, extremely dangerous. If encountered, please contact the navy for a bounty. Mingge laughed angrily and said, "We've all been offered a reward. I didn't even get my name right. I'm not named Dofran." Then he thought it was ridiculous. In this life, is the emperor's clan so valuable? Even beating a small servant can increase it to 30 million. People holding newspapers along the way will unconsciously take a second glance at Mingge. That blonde hair is very eye-catching. Mingge walked into the alley, passed through the square in front of the Lord's mansion, and silently knocked out a guard. He changed into the clothes and helmet of the guards and easily infiltrated the Lord's mansion. The Lord's mansion has only 3 floors, and the office is naturally located on the highest floor. Stop. What's going on? Is there a report? The guards on the 3rd floor stopped Mingge. Mingge narrowed his eyes and pretended to be urgent, saying, "I am the little princess's guard. I have something urgent to report to the city lord." Minge's true feelings are revealed. The guard glanced at each other and, although feeling a bit strange, still allowed them to pass. After succeeding, Mingge is in a good mood. He knocked on the door. Enter. Pushing open the door, a middle-aged man was buried in reviewing various reports. Mingge walked in, closed the door, and remained silent. After a while, the middle-aged man felt something was wrong before looking up and asking, "What needs to be reported?" Mingge walked towards the sofa without hesitation and sat down. The Lord seems a bit unhappy. Mingge took off his helmet. The city lord had never seen the guard before, so he asked, "Who are you?" Mingge used his online ability to pass the newspaper to the city lord. Dominant. The lord stood up, somewhat guarded. When he got the newspaper, he looked at Mingobi and checked it. "Are you Domingo?" Mingge shook his finger and said no. "My name is not Duo-Fran Mingo, my surname is Tang Mingge." The lord of the city seemed to have been infected by Minge's relaxed posture, and then he also relaxed and sat down. He took out a cigarette and started smoking. With a puff of smoke, he exhaled and said, "The great pirate with a bounty of 30 million has set his sights on our Abyss Island. What are you looking for?" "I'm not as valuable as you." Mingge chuckled. "Speaking of which, the Lord may not believe it. I am not as bad as the wanted notice portrays. Moreover, I am a businessman." The city lord exhaled another mouthful of smoke and remained silent, obviously not believing. As a businessman, coming to find the city lord naturally means doing business. Oh. As far as I know, the city lord is also a domineering person. There's no need to make the atmosphere so tense, right? Business people can either take advantage of it or make money with harmony. Which kind of city lord would you prefer? Mingo really likes the feeling of negotiation. The Lord is certainly not nervous because of his domineering abilities. But this ability worth 30 million does make people nervous. I heard you stole the family's property and even beat up the powerful members of the Emperor's clan. Your behavior doesn't seem like a businessman. Tell me, what do you want? The lord of the city must first understand the purpose of the person in front of him. Coming to supply the city is naturally for supply. I need 10 tons of fuel. Mingge has calculated that the fuel chamber can only be filled with 1 ton of fuel at a time, and 1 ton of fuel can last for 3 days. There is an idle storage room next to the fuel room, which can hold approximately 9 tons of fuel. Fuel. The Lord was a bit surprised. The best way to escape warships is to take a mechanically powered ship. Is that unreasonable? Of course it's reasonable, but you know, the objects we sell must have qualifications and be registered. Selling to you may not withstand the Navy's investigation. I know the Lord's concerns, that's why I'm called a businessman. Businessmen use their methods. What's the solution? The most primitive trading method is naturally bartering. Exchanging goods. I'm asking about qualifications. Using the name of Tangja Shipyard for barter can withstand inventory checks. Tangja Shipyard. Are you sure they're on your side? Mingge laughed and said, regardless of whether they are on my side or not, they won't betray me without harming their interests. Moreover, giving them some benefits would be perfect. What do you have to trade? Dofran wine. Is it the kind of luxury wine you stole? It is reasonable for me to trade Dofran wine under the name of Tangja Shipyard. 10 tons of fuel. Do you want to trade seeds with me? Brother Ming smiles and stares at the city lord with the eyes of a fool, which makes the latter blush. City lord, do you know that rarity is precious? I didn't take all the seeds, but because the Tang family's production has decreased and supply is in short supply, the price will definitely rise. With these 10 tons of fuel, you can exchange for 20 fruits, which is not bad. 20, no, it's too little. Mingge is very satisfied with the reaction of the city lord, who obviously has been moved by him. How much does the lord think is suitable? 50, at least 50. Mingge smiled faintly. He didn't really care about the amount of money, what was important was whether the transaction could bring him emotional value. So he said, so, I'll give the Lord 100. The Lord couldn't figure it out, fearing that there might be some conspiracy involved. Of course, there are conditions. 100 fruits can make about 100 bottles of wine, and the proceeds from selling these 100 bottles belong to you. However, 30% of the value needs to be exchanged for fuel and sent to the Tang family shipyard. In this way, our transaction can withstand investigation, and the Tang family shipyard will not expose any favorable transactions for them. The Lord thought for a while and indeed felt it was feasible. When will the transaction take place? Although 10 tons of fuel is not much, it still takes 3 days to prepare. Mingge calculated the time and said, the fruit is still in its reserve period, and it will probably take more than a month. The city lord nodded and agreed, you can come here to trade directly. But if you stay in the Abyss City for a month, please keep a low profile. Your blonde hair is so eye-catching. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 9 Solicitation. Gourmets in the South China Sea. You are listening at novelfull.audio. A month is not long, and Mingo, who is bored, spends most of his time on the ship. One day, I was really bored and put on my hood to stroll around the Abyss Island. Why is it so lively there? Mingge discovered that a small celebration was taking place in the center of the city. Surprisingly, it's a food festival. On both sides of the street, there are colorful mobile dining cars, as if dressing the city up. Mingge was attracted by the aroma emitted by the dining car, and he followed the crowd. Cheers and laughter kept coming one after another, and every face was filled with satisfaction. Street vendors are selling their own specialty snacks and taking advantage of the celebration to promote new dishes. Special barbecue, special Lamian noodles and special fruit salad make people salivate. One of the stalls caught Mingge's attention. The entire street's business is the hottest here. Mingge ordered a special grilled fish. He noticed that there were 3 people working together at this booth, some handling ingredients, some cooking, and some starting from scratch. 2 men and 1 woman. The female chef among them is the most eye-catching. She has a head of water blue hair, which was specially cooked for convenience, with a clear and mature texture. Mingge took a sip. Wow! Even in his past life, Mingge, who had tasted many delicacies, couldn't help but admire that this was the freshest and most natural grilled fish he had ever tasted. He specifically approached the female chef and asked, even though it's grilled fish, why does it taste so fresh and more like boiled fish? The female chef smiled faintly and said, right, so this is the specialty and also the secret. Mingge used to not really like fish, but now he falls in love with grilled fish. The celebration quickly passed in the midst of excitement. The 3 people at the grilled fish stall have packed their things and are ready to leave. But someone stopped them at the intersection. Is that you? The blue-haired girl remembers the person she had talked to before. A few of you are skilled in cooking. Are you interested in my boat? Sailing on the sea is usually quite lonely, but if you could taste elegant cuisine, how happy it would be. Mingge rarely chews words and has a sense of solicitation. The girl was obviously amused. She asked in a crisp voice, don't you know who we are? The 2 men next to her also laughed and said, little brother, we're not chefs. That's right, little sister. She is a famous food connoisseur in the South China Sea. We have been traveling in the South China Sea, and not everyone can tie us up. Mingge was a bit surprised. 2 men are tall and rugged in appearance, while the woman is fresh and beautiful. These 3 are actually siblings. A foodie. Hee, today we just had a sudden idea to conduct market research. The secret spices we obtained from our recent travels are said to be versatile with all fish, and it seems that they live up to their reputation. That's right, our main job is still a food connoisseur. I came here mainly for supplies, and coincidentally, I just happened to come across a food festival. Mingge admires people with taste, and he is also curious about the work of foodies. May I ask 3 names? The man, unaware of Mingge's purpose, became wary and said, usually, before asking someone else's name, shouldn't you report your own name? Mingge didn't mind either. Oh, my name is Tang Mingge. Have you all heard of it? Tang Mingge. The food industry has never heard of such a person. Ming nodded, it seemed that not everyone cared about the pirates. Our 3 siblings, I am the eldest Bai, this is the second Belle, and the younger sister Bishanshan. After getting to know each other, a few people went to a tavern to chat freely. Mingge has a deeper understanding of several people. The boss is a sailor who is proficient in rigging, high-altitude, steering and other ship-related work. The second person is a diver who is proficient in water and has rich knowledge of the ocean. The girl is a true food connoisseur, with a great deal of information about her absolute taste. After tasting something, she can know what kind of humor is used and where it is produced. 3 people form a gourmet group and have been traveling in the South China Sea. Mingge was itching in his heart, isn't this the elegant crew he wanted? This wine is really not very good. Mingge casually mentioned. The girl retorted, the quality of this wine is average, but it is already a premium among fruit wines, and its taste can be considered top quality. Mingge shook his head and smiled, after tasting the best fruit wine in the world, drinking such wine again is not considered elegant. Bishanshan had already lowered her long hair and said, the best fruit wine in the world. Are you talking about Dofran wine? Have you ever tried it? Mingge praised, "You are truly a foodie, you actually know about Dofran." Of course, the destination of our trip this time is Don Quixote Island, and it is said that all the Dofran wine is produced there. Mingge raised his eyebrows and thought to himself, this cannot be fate. Actually, if you want to taste Dofri, you don't necessarily have to go there. I also have it on my boat. Oh. The three of them questioned what Mingge said. I can take you to the ship to take a look. The Dofran tree is planted in the center of the deck, and as long as there is sunlight and water, its fruits are inexhaustible. The three of them clearly showed interest, but they didn't want to disrupt their schedule and appeared hesitant. Mingge said, I heard you only travel in the South China Sea. Bai nodded and said, Don Quixote Island is almost the end of our South China Sea tour. Mingge asked again, why only travel in the South China Sea? As a foodie, don't you want to taste the unique cuisine of other places? This. Bai hesitated to speak. It's not that easy to cross the sea, said Beishanshan Bell added, at the end of the South China Sea route, there is the South China Sea continent. Passing through the continent will lead to passing through the territory of the bandits, and crossing the territory of the bandits will lead to entering the West Sea. There are often many pirates at the junction of sea and land, which is really dangerous. To be honest, as long as you follow me, I can take you on a trip to the West Sea, East China Sea, and even the entire North Sea. Mingge saw that several people didn't believe it, and added, I am a domineering person. Even the little pirate and mountain bandit are not a problem. Several people could tell that Mingge really wanted to recruit them, but due to travel plans, they ultimately refused Minge's invitation. Mingge retreated and said, okay, you can go to Don Quixote first. If you can't taste the wine, you can come back to me. I will stay here until August 18th. August 15th is the day when results can be obtained, and Mingge is willing to wait for them for an additional 3 days. 3 days is enough for them to travel from Don Quixote Island to Abyss Island. The three of them discussed and accepted Minge's proposal. It's a deal. As Mingge watched the departing figures, he couldn't help but think of the Don Quixote family in his past life, which was the habitat of his soul. At this moment, Mingge made up his mind to recruit people. He wants to resurrect the Don Quixote family and establish the Dofran pirates. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 10 Trading. Dofran fruits that have been speckled at heavenly prices. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The time has come to the 15th day of August in the Mongolian calendar. Today is the day for the fruit of Dofran fruit. That's right, 3 months of accumulated energy, as long as planted, will instantly yield 90 fruits. According to the Munch chronology, a year has 360 days, 12 months, and each month has 30 days. There are 90 days in 3 months. The natural fruiting cycle of the Dofran tree is 1 per day. As early as a week ago, Don Quixote Island announced the auction of Dofrango to the South China Sea, and the result is today, August 15th. The princes of the South China Sea and the city lords of island cities are all interested in this. Of course, those who are shy in their pockets hesitate. And people like the Lord of the Abyss who have special channels will naturally not join in the fun. What Mingge thought at first was to leave a seed for the Tang family, and through the Tang family's operation and promotion, he could definitely raise the price. The auction is indeed a good idea. The Tang family still has talented people who can do business. Mingge praised. The next day, it indeed made headlines in the newspaper. This auction is not even a finished wine brewed, just the fruit of Dofran, which has already broken the price record of fruit wine. 90 Dofran fruits were auctioned off for a total of 91 million Munch coins. Mingge didn't expect that on average, a fruit could reach 1 million Munch coins. He sneered and said, my value is only 30 useless fruits, how pitiful. On the deck, the artificial soil was divided into 2 parts by Mingge, one front and one back. He planted the seeds and watered them. In just a few breaths, 2 trees quickly grew up. Mingge wrapped the top of the tree crown with adhesive tape to prevent the trunk from growing too high. Don't exceed the height of the protective cover. Fortunately, the height of both trees is within the protective cover. Mingge quickly picked 180 useless fruits. Well, it seems that if we want to get a fountain in this place, having 2 per day is still too little. Mingge is also very helpless about this. The joy.However is a medium-sized submarine that can meet the space needs of 10 people, and planting 2 trees on the deck is already crowded. So there were still 6 seeds left, and Mingge was also quite distressed. Bringing 100 fruits, Mingge found the city lord as agreed. The 3rd floor of the lord's mansion. Today, the lord of the city is particularly enthusiastic, showing his warm and caring attitude towards Brother Ming. Don't worry, Lord. As business people, we value credibility. You don't have to be like this. Mingge actually knows that since the auction, the city lord has sent several groups of people to invite Mingge to the banquet, but in reality, they have sent people to monitor Mingge. What Mingge didn't know was that the city lord had made 2 preparations. If Mingge reneges, the city lord will immediately notify the navy to capture him as quickly as possible and receive a reward of 30 million yuan. Of course, this is a forced situation. Because of the skyrocketing price of 100 Dofran fruits, their value far exceeds 30 million yuan. The lord still knows how to calculate. That's right, brother. The lord looked at the 100 fruits and said happily, I have already sent someone to deliver the best 10 tons of power fuel to my brother. I think he has received it just now. Mingge nodded and said it was a simultaneous transaction, but in fact, Mingge had already received the fuel before sending the fruit. So our transaction is considered completed. Have a pleasant cooperation. Hey, the transaction hasn't been completed. Mingge reminded. Did the Lord forget? Our transaction has an additional condition. The city lord clapped his hands and said, Right. Look at my memory. Don't worry, brother. Business requires credibility to last. I will send someone to transport it to the Tang family shipyard. The lord breathed a sigh of relief. According to market prices, 100 fruits are worth 100 million yuan, which is considered exorbitant in both the fruit and wine industries. According to the agreement, the city lord needs to donate 30% of the value of fuel to Tang family shipyard. That's fuel worth 30 million munch coins. It has to be said that this is already the largest transaction in Abyss City in nearly a decade. Apart from 30 million, there is still a profit of 70 million, which has exceeded the profit of the city lord's mansion for 2 years. The lord naturally had other thoughts. For example, marriage alliances. Even if it's a pirate who can bring huge benefits to the lord's mansion, he wants to hold on to it tightly. He held a banquet to entertain Mingge and tried to introduce his daughter to him. 12 years old. Mingge looked at the city lord like a fool. She's 12, you're 16. You can get engaged first and get married in 2 years. It's a great match. Mingge said speechlessly, I am a pirate, offering a reward of 30 million yuan for a great pirate. The city lord waved his hand and smiled, you are a businessman. As long as you remain anonymous and mature in a few years, no one will recognize you. When it comes to interests, the city lord starts using everything. Mingge showed a fierce expression and said, I never force buying or selling in business. It's better for the lord to be careful when speaking. Otherwise, serious Mingge exuded a domineering aura, and the city lord could only smile awkwardly. Mingge quickly left the lord's mansion. The business negotiations were relatively smooth, and other thoughts were completely ineffective for Mingge, resulting in a hasty conclusion. The city lord looked at Mingge, who was far away, and sighed, opportunities cannot always be there. Can I hold on to a character like him? Returning to the boat, Mingge opened a lounge chair under the Dofran tree and basked in the sunlight. Due to the underwater vortex, the sunlight here is refracted multiple times and appears golden. He looked at the branch and calculated in his heart. If all 8 seeds are planted, you can earn 8 million in a day. There are 2.88 billion in 1 year. 2 years later, won't my value be comparable to that of the 4 emperors? Mingge is happy. Who says that Dofran fruit is useless fruit? This is simply the fruit of getting rich. Offering a reward to the 4th emperor is not a problem. But selling fruits is not elegant enough. It is still necessary to build a fruit wine processing plant. If 1 bottle of wine sells for 2 million, would it be too greedy? Mingge has never felt that doing business is so easy. Even though he controlled many dark market transactions in his past life, he remained cautious when facing large clients like the 4th emperor, like walking on thin ice. Lie down and make money. This is too elegant. August 18th. On the agreed day, Mingge still couldn't see the figures of the 3 siblings of the Bei family. Forget it, maybe it's fate but not fate. Treating interpersonal relationships as a business, we can't force buying or selling, it's not elegant. After more than a month, Mingge set sail again. After entering the vortex, the joy.However was automatically swept up to the surface. Very elegant, ships on the sea will be swept into the seabed when approaching the vortex. Ships on the seabed will be swept into the South China Sea when entering the vortex. Before long, Mingge arrived at the sea and saw 2 ships in dispute. A ship seems to be blocking another ship from approaching the vortex. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th.